So to print onto our t-shirt, we're going to need a finished screen, a squeegee, some fabric screen printing ink, a pair of gloves to protect our hands, and then of course a stretched t-shirt or fabric on our padded work surface. So the first thing that we're going to do is you want to place your screen wherever on your t-shirt or fabric that you so desire. I'm actually going to put this one a little bit off center here. And the reason is just because it's a small graphic, I feel like it will look better being off center. So what's going to end up happening is I'm going to take this fabric printing ink here, which you can see sort of has a consistency of pudding. And I'm going to put that along the edge here on the screen. And then I'm going to draw it across the screen using my squeegee. The one thing that you need to keep in mind is that you want the screen pressed tightly against your shirt. So when I'm doing this, I'm going to have one hand pressing here, and then I'm going to, with this hand, press against this corner of the screen as I draw the squeegee across. So it will look something like this. And I'll draw it across. And then once we get to this side, move all of the ink over here, I'm going to draw it back. And by that, when I do that one, I'm going to press down with this part of my hands to keep everything nice and flat. You do not want to shift this at all, or you'll end up with what we call a blurry image. So just make sure that you keep this very, very still as you're printing. Just to take a look here, making sure my placement is good. That will work. Do it up a little bit higher. Okay, so I'm gonna go right about here with a little puppy image. So the next thing I'm gonna do is make sure I got some gloves on to protect my hands. And I'm going to take some of this screen printing ink and I'm going to dab it onto the screen here. Now, you don't need a ton, but you do need enough to do about 2 passes on here. It's always an idea to have a little bit extra. You can always put it back into the container. I'm going to spread it out just a little bit. And then I'm going to press down with my hand here, putting the heel of my hand against the screen here. And I'm going to draw the ink across the image. And once we've got it to this end here, I'm going to flip my squeegee and I'm going to draw it back. Right, you can do that more than once if you'd like. The more passes you do, the darker your image will become. All right, so I'm just going to take this over here, try and scrape a little of this excess ink back into the container. Always use this again. Set the squeegee aside to be cleaned. And now we'll carefully lift the screen up to reveal our super cute puppy print. Now, as you can see here from the back of the screen, you didn't get any ink on the back of the screen. So if you want to do the same print on another shirt, you can keep going and you don't need to clean the screen every single time. So the key is to just make sure that you check the back part of the screen. I'm hesitant to flip it all the way over because I don't want any of this ink to spill out on this shirt. So as long as there's no ink on the front of your screen, which I just got some right there just by my glove, so be very, very careful, you can move on to your next one. Otherwise, I'm going to set this aside to be washed. So now that this is printed, you can leave it to dry overnight, or you can get out your hair dryer and help the process along. I'm going to do the hair dryer on low. I don't want to get the fabric moving around too much. I'm also going to take these gloves off since I know that I got some ink on the screen. So if I want to, I can even hold this in place. And then on a low setting, you want to use this on a low setting. Now you can keep using the hairdryer until this is completely dry before you remove it from your padded workspace. But in the meantime, I'm going to go and wash out the screen while this dries.